Hey golfers, and welcome back to the Second Swing YouTube channel. We're here in the tour van once again for some testing of golf clubs, and this is great because we have new stuff. This is that time of year, new product launches, new equipment, and potentially new stuff for you to put in the bag. And so today we've got PING G440, which is a big and fun one for us. Joining me in the bay is Tyler Fitzel, master club fitter here. And I guess Tyler, first of all, it's really exciting to have G440 in our fitting bays now, able to fit. We've already seen it happen here throughout the day in the Minnetonka store.
Yep.
Just give me your first impressions as people start kind of filing in and leaving their comments. Obviously, if you're watching, you're tuning in, jumping in now, leave your comments, questions, testing ideas as well in the chat for us, and we will get to them with G440. But Tyler, your first impressions on G440?
Ping has a distinct look, right? So that look is something that we're going to see again. One of the things that they've gone to this year is they've got the carbon fiber that they've introduced to reduce weight, and that's going to be one of the big main talking points is how can we get more weight into strategic areas to allow us for better launch and spin. And it's always neat because Ping is not a company that sends clubs out year after year after year. They go through a cycle that takes a little bit longer, and with that they do a little bit more refinement. The first thing that strikes me is that this looks like a Ping. It still has some turbulators on it. Get as much weight as possible to be the lever in this case, to be kind of add to the momentum. So with the refinements, it's going to be interesting to see how this works. I think it's a great product. I think we've seen a lot of success already. We've seen it win on tour already.
Yes.
So it has. It's already done well with the elite players on the tour.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. And then we've got a couple of new additions in terms of just club heads and loft options that we'll talk about as well. So, I mean, we don't have anything super scripted in terms of what to test today. We've got a couple driver heads, a couple fairway heads with us. If there's anything specific that you're looking at, we can try that for sure. We've got obviously all the fitting. Yeah, I think the view we're working on our technical issues. We have a weird glitch going on right now, but I'm actually glad that they're not seeing where that one ended up. They can maybe see parts of it. My face was more open than I've ever had my club face open, I think. There's a low launcher. Might get dive a little left. So I have the G425 LST in my bag. The difference being 2 years ago, and I didn't even think about this too much, but at 14.5 degrees was stock at G425. Now we're back to G440 here, and this is 15 standard. So kind of curious as to maybe what went into decisions for Ping there to go from 14.5 in the first place, and then go back to 15 maybe.
Well, I think part of that too is the addition of the 4-wood at 17 degrees.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've seen that from time to time. Manufacturers will have slightly different versions of it, and even for that, we've seen high launch versions of it, right?
Yeah, you see like the 16.5.
You'll see companies that'll put out a 15, and then all of a sudden they'll put a 16.5. It's only 1.5 degrees, but it's specifically designed to be a little bit more lofted anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what those are typically. It's like the 3-wood head.
Yeah.
size and everything, but just with loft.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice now because you have a 4-wood where, you can length and club head are more optimized maybe for that loft or what would be being played there. So.
One of the things that Ping has done is they've reshaped this a slight bit. It's not to say that it doesn't look like a Ping, but there is a little bit longer depth to it.
Sure.
And there's also a little bit, it's constructed a little differently in the face so that the face isn't quite as long and shallow. It's maybe a little bit deeper to that as well. But the overall look is really smooth. It's very symmetrical. It's got some really nice lines to it. So it sits down really well. The tuning lobe gives us an opportunity also to kind of open or close that, maybe give it a different look. So
yeah, which has been nice because Ping's always been in front of that, where they're always, they've had for years. I think there's been some companies that haven't had the adjustability with fairway woods, 3-woods, but they've been ahead of that game for a long time now, where they've always had that option. Yeah, let me try to hit one good here with this 3-wood. Square some things up. Yep. So there is some pop off this thing.
Yeah.
And I say that because it's a 150 smash factor.
Yeah.
I've also had a 152 register.
A couple times.
So there's heat packed to this thing. This is a good question that Jeff is posing.
Yeah.
On the driver length shafts, and we'll get to drivers here in a second in terms of testing. But I think while he's here and asking the question, I think it's a good one to pose to you. So the stock driver shaft length for G440s is 46 inches. I know there was, when we posted the swing report videos, there were some questions about that. Why would diameters go? Why would you have the stock length go longer? Well, it seems like, if anything, people need to be shorter length. So what's your take on that? I know what we heard from Ping was, well, there's a little more forgiveness in launch in here.
Yeah.
Because of that, we're helping golfers increase swing speed and get distance on it, and the club is forgiving enough to allow for that.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to, is it's optimizing it. And so 46 inches as a stock length, which is the legal limit by the USGA right now, it might be long for some people, and that's what we have to do, is we have to go in and take a look at that and say, let's try 45 and a half, or maybe even 45, and see what some of those things do for you. But it's about the balance of the club as well. So if we're going to make the club head heavier in certain places, if we're going to make it lighter, if we're going to put weight, add weight, take weight out, move it, shift it, we're also going to make sure that we balance that as a whole. So that's just one of those things a lot of club companies are trying to deal with. Is, again, that's one of the reasons why you get custom fit.
Yeah.
It's not like, Ping doesn't say that everything has to be 46 inches. It's just that they found that optimal testing for them, for the mass market, is definitely around that.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we want to look at. And it's been that way in the market for quite some time. So this isn't like something that's just been thrown on us by Ping. It's been that way for a lot of the companies. All the companies are over 45 inches as a stock length anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of been gradually going up, I mean, over the years too. So, and yeah, that's the end of the day, like, you can always get your custom order to be something shorter than 46 inches.
Right.
That's always the option, but I think that we're just seeing, and we'll see how fittings go this year. Maybe we find something different in our fitting bays, but they did the testing, and the inclination is that the best results for most golfers is going to be the stock length at 46. So
one of the things it does is, you get longer, is it generally increases the launch angle. So you may be able to use less loft and still increase launch, but less loft reduces spin. And so you have a better launch and spin combination. Yeah. But it still has to work for you too. It can't just be something that, we're not just going to throw this out there and say, well, this is your length. Right. It's something that we want to test.
Yeah. So I will say, it looks like, appreciate everybody being patient with any tech issues we had there at the beginning. Had just had a minor glitch go on there where we were kind of losing some some internet and some audio there briefly, but looks like we're back. I've been hitting G440 3-wood here.
LS Tech, by the way.
The LST, yes, and then we're going to get to the 4-wood here as well, and maybe compare. But we were talking as well, if you just joined, about how much ball speed there is on this thing. It's an absolute rocket. I mean, right there, this is a pretty good example. That's relatively low spin, but again, that's kind of a partially due to my club path and my sort of draw tendency. But 1.50 smash factor, I have no problems getting that ball up high enough too, over 100 feet. So
this is off the deck, so being able to hit this off the fairway here at 260. I mean, you had a couple shots there. You had quite a few shots that were carrying 270. The carry distance is 270. That's just it's a weapon, really, is what that becomes in the game. And you start thinking about so many different places where you could utilize that, especially with trajectory. It's like, well, I really need to get over this, or I really need to be around here. And then you have, usually with a 3-wood, you have a little bit more shot shaping ability.
Yes.
So that's one of the reasons why, like, something like this, even though it's really hot, I mean, for me, that would be longer than my driver. But for you, this is just another tool. Depending on the type of golf course and the situation you're in.
And actually, one of the some of the testing that we were doing beforehand was kind of hitting these little low stingers. And which can be a weapon of a shot to have off the tee. If it's on a windy day, take out your 3-wood and just kind of hit something down on it and keep it low. And I was able to do that really well too with this club. So I mean, I endorse the G440 LST fairway wood. I mean, it's hot. It's going to be, if you're a player that wants a little bit of control, wants to be able to hit those different shapes and stuff, and then especially off the tee too, because the big thing with the G440 fairway woods is that they've actually heightened the face a little bit. The face is like
a little
taller. So because of that, it actually plays a little bit more off the tee. Like it's going to perform a little bit better off the tee. And so you have more surface area to work with there, which I think will be a big help for players that might start seeing themselves play fairways off the tee a little more. All right, let me go one more here. See if I can push 290 on the total distance, maybe. Maybe that's asking a lot after not swinging for a few minutes there. Oh yeah.
Well, 298.
I caught a little bit of it, a little bit behind the ball, which actually worked in my favor with the spin there.
Again, I mean, carrying 272.
All right, now just for fun, because we talked about the shot shaping. Now I have a heavy draw tendency to come in and do this, so I'm going to try and hit a cut now, see how effective that is. And this might be a very bad idea as someone who doesn't cut it very well, but
well, I'll help pick up the range balls for you.
Appreciate your help with that. Ooh, that was some speed. Baby cut. I think it works though.
It is. I mean,
it's more of a push than a cut, but I think there's a little bit of tail to it.
You had some ball speed on that too. Like, it was 166 about. 166.
I mean, I'm swinging at 110, so. 151 smash factor though. That's the thing though. I mean, they're hot. Some spice to these things. So, should we try the 4-wood?
Let's do that. We'll just pop it right on that shaft too. So, one of the things that Ping has done is come up with a new. They do have a new lobe, a new tip. It's specifically designed with its weight, and it's you're going to be able to use older shafts in these, I believe. That's something I haven't confirmed yet, but the new shaft in this has it's a little slimmer up towards the top on this. So it is a little more bullet looking like, but so we're going to go from 15 in that low spin to 17.
And this is, for now anyway, with G440, there's not a 4-wood in the LST. There is a 5-wood though in the LST, which I don't believe they had before. So that's also an option. And right away, so this is a G440 Max 4-wood. It's already a little more of a rounded sole to it. It's not as flat as the LST.
Yeah, this is a much flatter.
Yeah,
sole
this is a
to
little
it.
bit more rounded.
Yep.
But I'm curious to see what happens here because this is the same shaft. So same length of shaft, same obviously everything, but just really the big difference is the build of the club head and the loft being a little different here. I think what you'll see a lot of this year, that's pretty good. What you'll see a lot of is players potentially doing a combo that looks like, say, 4-wood to 7-wood in the bag.
Yeah.
Where they have both of those options because you get, 4 degrees-ish of difference there, good gapping.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of players are going to like this because maybe a 3-wood doesn't get quite high enough in the air, and that's where this 4-wood could be a nice option without instead going the route of the 3-wood and adjusting the hosel, setting closed, and going up in loft. Instead, they can just have a standard 17-degree head here. That's a really good 4-wood shot right there.
It's a good first swing. Yep. That was good.
Yep. That's
Good
probably,
spin.
that spin rate, with a 4-wood, you probably want in the mid 3,000s probably is kind of the
Yeah, and it's
the number.
Remember, launch and spin's always going to change depending on the club and the swing, right?
Yeah.
So for you, that's pretty typical. We'd like to see that. That's keeping the ball in the air long enough, but also giving it a little bit of stopping power too.
Got under that one just a hair.
A little bit.
You can see on that spin it was kind of a drop kicky swing, but
Yeah. So you might have caught it a little higher in the face.
yeah. I mean, good result at the end of the day.
Yeah. The thing that I'm noticing, it's a more of a muted sound. This isn't quite.
This one?
Yeah.
Than the previous generations, or
Then I think maybe just the previous generation.
okay. I definitely noticed that with driver when we did some.
Yeah.
We did content down at Ping.
Yeah.
And that was my first reaction to hitting the driver, which we'll hit drivers here shortly. But
Yeah.
was how it sounds so much more of a thud now.
Okay.
Which with G425, you come in the store and people are hitting drivers right behind you on these
Yeah.
bays, and you heard it and it was like that's a G425.
Yes.
That guy's hitting 3 bays down.
Right.
You knew it, and now I think it's much more of a solid thud.
Yeah.
All right, 4-wood. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Slight face open there, but I've also got that. But yeah, I mean, I'm still getting 150 with the 4-wood. There's some distance in here. Ooh, not quite the best contact on that one. Yeah, that was another one of those kind of drop kickers off the toe.
The numbers didn't really change a lot there, though.
Yeah, spin was kind of down, but that's the result of one of those.
Yeah.
All right, let me hit one more. I'll try to hit a high cut here, kind of like the way I ended with the LST.
Okay.
Oh, is that a cut or is that just like a dead straight ball?
That's what's a little push. I mean,
To me, for me and my tendencies, that is a cut.
Yeah,
I
'cause,
know
I mean,
it's
you're-
pretty straight, but
you're a little inside out. I mean, your club path is a little bit inside out. So one of the questions there too is, we talk about this all the time. Where would the 4-wood fit in? What's the purpose of this? For a player like you would actually do really well with a 4-wood because your driver it's got a distance over 300 yards.
yeah.
And then the next club in the bag is probably not going to be for accuracy. Your next club in the bag is probably going to be looking off the tee as well.
Right.
Where a 4-wood could be the next club in your bag, and you could actually use it for both. So you could start to use it for some distance because you're seeing we can get upwards of 290 with this.
Yeah.
But we're also talking about maybe going in on a par 5 where I've got 250 to carry, and I need to carry.
Where this exact shot would be really nice.
Right. And so think about it like this. People, if you're talking about, well, why would I get a 4-wood in my bag? The same question would ask is, why would I put another wedge in my bag on the other side? You know, is there a gap or a space or a shot that I'm seeing on my course or the courses that I play all the time? Or is there something in my game? So for instance, if you've got this space, let's say it's me for instance, I've got a space that's at 220 yards. If I've got a space at 220 yards, it could be a hybrid, could be a 3-wood, could be a 4-wood. So for me, I've got to figure out what club's going to be in there. And it doesn't have to be a club. Maybe it is a combination. If I want it low, I'm doing this with the club. If I want it higher, I do this with the club. So I might have a couple of clubs to that. But what we always want to do is there's 2 clubs in the bag that are one-dimensional. The driver and the putter.
Yep.
Okay?
You're only hitting tee shot to driver unless you're, you know, a little bit of a lunatic and you hit out driver off the deck often, right?
So everything else we want to try to find for more than one use, make it multi-use, and that's where a 4-wood comes in. So I can use it from a fairway, I can use it from a tee box, I could use it, you know, maybe in the rough if I've got a pretty good lie. I might even use it out of a fairway bunker.
Yeah.
Like it's, you know, I might even chip with it around the green.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many different options.
And I think, as I mentioned a little bit before, but maybe for viewers that are just joining too, I think you've seen in fittings, and I think across, especially amateur golfers that might not have a ton of swing speed, I think you've seen too that 3-wood just doesn't get the ball high enough in the air.
Right.
And so that's where this 4-wood is going to be really handy. Is a lot of players might come in, and it might go right from driver to 4-wood. Maybe the driver maybe they need a like 11 or 12 degree driver.
Yep.
In which case 17 might be the next loft that actually fits them the best and provides them what they need. So there's that side of it too, where for me, like, yes, a 4-wood could be great because of the capability. I have enough distance where I could use this added loft to, you know, say a 550 plus yard par 5 where I need big towering second shot and I want to go for it. Like, this club is going to be awesome for that.
Yeah.
But I think even especially for players that maybe don't quite hit 3-wood very high, 4-wood. I mean, a lot of players will hit a 4-wood farther than a 3-wood based on just how much farther it's going to carry with the added loft. So.
Yeah. It really, it's loft.
Yeah.
And, you know, this could be the strong swinger, and it could also be someone that might be a light swing, right? So you might need the loft just based on the light swing side of it.
Yeah.
Ping made a 4-wood a long time ago. I remember back in like was it the G? It might have been G10.
That's before my my time in equipment.
Yeah. I think I know they had a 4-wood back then.
Which would have been like the 2000s, right?
Yeah, 2000, maybe 10, 9. Maybe 2008, 9, 10, somewhere in there. But, and for that matter, the loft on a club is really what makes it happen. It doesn't matter if it says 4-wood on it or not.
Will says Ping Rapture, too.
Yeah.
May have had a 4-wood. Yeah. Interesting.
So,
okay. So should we hit some drivers here? Unless, again, I'll invite viewers, if you have any specific things you want either focused on or discussed or tested, let us know. We got a couple of drivers here we can hit too. So.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, let me grab this. So we'll start with LST driver.
Yeah, is that what that is? I didn't even look.
LST, 9 degree.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just looking down at, got the carbon fly wrap, which is now on all of the drivers, I think, right? Yeah, which was only, it was only LST, I think, with the G430s.
Correct, it was.
Okay, that's a good question. It's not a ping question, but nonetheless, since Joe is in here, I think it's one we can discuss.
Yeah.
Shrix on irons is the VT sole.
Yeah.
Not good for a picker or someone who hits it clean. He says his miss is hitting the ground behind the ball, so probably someone with a shallow attack angle coming in. And what do you think about that?
I would say that's accurate. I would say that you're going to want because with the V-sole you have positive and negative bounce angle.
Yes.
So there's positive on the leading side as you're moving down and in, and then there's negative on the way out. Well, it's the way in that you really need the least amount possible. So I would look for something that just has a skinnier or smaller sole altogether. So even if you are in a Srixon iron, you can get away with it in the forged number 2, the blade, or you can get away with the ZX7, ZXi7 a little bit, because those will still have pretty good turf interaction to that.
Yep.
But I think once you start to get a little bit wider and you get clubs in general that have more sole on them, you're just going to find that it's the trailing edge or the leading, the trailing edge, the exiting bounce is going to give you the more the trouble with it.
Right, kind of exiting out of there.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat as Bobby, who he says he's hoping he didn't pull the trigger early on the 10K. That's what I got in the bag right now as of this moment. But
yeah,
you know, I'm very open to change, and we've had some good results on G440 so far. So the LST, and again, I'm hoping we can get people can get the sound differences that there is. I know we'll do some actually we have a video teed up for Monday. We did down at PING G440 Max versus G430 Max comparison, which will be good. But the sound difference, it's just a loud thud with this club. So I'm excited to
not have to wear ear protection.
Right, which was the case, you know, with some of these past PING drivers. That was a high on the face right there. Holy smokes, yeah.
Yeah.
Skyball.
Well, go Gophers.
Had to make the transition to the driver swing.
Go Gophers, roll the boat.
Yeah. Wonder how many Gopher fans are in the chat right now. There's the sound I'm talking about. Now that's going to be a hook that goes left, but.
Okay. Yeah, it's very distinct. It's solid, very muted.
Yeah, it is. It's.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've praised the sound and feel of a driver in previous generations, this is matching up with that. Yeah, the 10K based on the chat was a popular driver. I've got it. A couple people in the chat have it. Okay, I need to get my driver swing dialed in. That was a tough one.
Yeah, might check.
Anybody watching, just don't say anything about that one.
Yeah.
Didn't exist.
Where's technical difficulties when you need it?
Yeah. What are, There we go. That's a little more like it.
A little bit.
But see, you know, I'm talking about the audio where it's just like thud.
Yeah,
There's not an echo or a crash behind it.
No. And there's still a lot of metal involved in the club head. It's not like they've taken metal out of it.
Right.
It just doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, they just optimized that ribbing inside there. Yeah.
Acoustical.
Right. Let's put a couple good swings on this thing, huh?
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. The last two drives were like the same exact spin rate. Bobby says Kevin Kraft fit him a couple months ago for the 10K and says he's a legend. I agree. Yeah, we like Kevin here. We got some stuff planned with him in the future here.
Kevin.
Good stuff.
He's crafty.
Says, Rodolfo says, been eyeing an upgrade for his 3-wood and 5-wood to the G430. Is there a significant difference between those and the G440? I would say the biggest difference is just if you're gonna try G430, I would also just try the 4-wood of G440 to make sure because that might be better for you. I don't know Rodolfo's name, I don't know, but I think that the option there with G430, or excuse me, the G440 with the 4-wood, I think is just at least worth trying. If you're thinking of the upgrade, try it.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. Is now that we have something that's in between, you might want to try what's in between.
Yeah.
You know, does it give us the benefit of a little bit of both? So that gives us flexibility to say, okay, am I thinking about a mini driver up in the top of the bag?
Yeah.
Am I thinking about a different hybrid? Am I thinking about a different iron? Am I thinking about a different wedge?
Yeah.
I guess the optimal word there is really just that flexibility is
Right.
if you can have the clubs themselves, but it's where you might use it and what you might use it for.
Yeah.
And,
Because maybe there are people out there that they play a 3-wood and a 5-wood.
Right.
But a 4-wood could achieve both the purposes of both clubs, and
Yeah.
then maybe open up a spot for another wedge
Yeah.
or something that we talked about. So there's
Right.
that would be the big thing that I would be thinking about. Now again, there are some things that they've done tech-wise that are better in G440, but G430s are still going to be great. So.
Yeah, I think the 440s are they've reshaped it a little bit. They've got
Yes.
some different weighting structures to it. They got some different materials to it. I think you're definitely going to want to try both of them because I don't know that this one's better than another. It's just you find the right fit, and you might find the sound or the look of something in the G430 hits you better. It could be the 440 hits you better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think the big difference in the fairways for sure is going to be, like in construction-wise, is that the fairway woods that face, as you mentioned, is deeper, taller.
Yeah.
And so there will be some differences in performance just based on that. But all right, G440 LST. If that draws back, it'll be fine, but start the way right. Nope. All right, let me get a good swing here. I went high on the face again.
I think the tee's just up a little too high for you there.
Yeah, you're not the first person to say that to me. I'm gonna leave it there though. There's a solidly struck
Yeah,
one.
there you go. Okay. Left it out a little.
Yep, which is my tendency. I come really inside to out. All right, well maybe hit the, is that a max head there too?
Yeah, I did. I was going to grab the SF Tech, and I thought, nah, I mean, for you and your club head speed, I don't know if the SF Tech is necessarily something that we need to dabble in, but what I really wanted to see was just the difference in 9-degree LS Tech versus Max and see what happens in launch and spin condition wise.
Yeah, I'll get one more good one here. Gosh, I'm starting all of them way out there. Getting it plenty high, but that's because it's all missing right. All right, let me align myself more correctly here. It's going to be a heel cut. All right, let's hit the max. Maybe I need the forgiveness of the max. That's, I think
Let's do that.
That's what I'm finding out. Everybody in the chat's like, could you just swing the club? Well, it's like, hit down on it. This is a good comment here from Ben hitting greens.
Yeah.
You see that one?
Yeah, I did.
So how would the G435 wood turn down? So it's at 8, so I think stock is 18.
Yeah.
So turn down to 16 and a half, 43 inches total length versus the 4 wood compare. So then you'd have the 4 wood at 17, and you could probably, can you turn it down by a degree or no on that hosel, or could it go
Yeah, you can.
So looking for more consistent height off the deck. So the 3 wood goes 275 off the tee, but only 245 off the deck. So I think, okay, so I think I see what he's saying there. He's looking for a little bit more lift off the turf.
Yeah, I think it'd have to be an experiment.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to try it because it makes sense, right? It's what we would want to do is like when you start talking about 3 woods, 4 woods, and 5 woods, and you start talking about that combination in between, is there's so many different things that you can do to it. When we talk about like right now, there's a couple guys that are carrying the 7 wood in the bag this weekend on the tour.
Yep.
and their setup is all over the place. It's like you've got one that might have it like a lot shorter. You might have one that has it a lot longer. You might want to have you might have one that sits open, one that sits closed. Like it really just kind of depends on what you look at. So if you like to look at something in general and you like the look of it and the shape of it,
Yeah.
You know, for me, I prefer something that's maybe a little flatter. I don't like something that looks more upright or closed. So I don't. With a longer club, I never want it pointed left.
Right.
Just that's my thing, right? So that's where you go into a 5-wood in a standard position versus you go into a 3-wood in a flat position, and you start messing around with, you know, lie angles,
Right,
things
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, so I think it's worth an experiment for Ben hitting greens there, because
Yeah.
there's a difference in the length of this club. You know, maybe the
Yeah.
added length of a 4-wood
Right.
might give him a little bit more lift just by the little bit of an increase
Yeah.
in swing speed there. Like there's little things like that could factor in. All right, so this is the G440 Max. I was admittedly swinging the LST not so good, so we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, and this should be a little bit more like your 10K.
Yeah, it definitely kind of has that look to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say shape-wise, yeah. Yeah, that doesn't sound clunky at all.
No. That was a pretty good start there.
It was. It's got good ball speed.
I think I already hit it farther than any of the LST ones.
Yeah, pretty close.
All right. Fear. Yeah. I just have a little more confidence with the G440 Max.
It's interesting too because like we talk about technique, right? So technology technique.
Yep.
Your miss is going left. You don't want it to go left, yet you hit a draw which goes left.
I know.
So I'm sitting here in my own. That's why I was a little bit more quiet on this, kind of like, all right. So you don't want it to go left, but it's going left.
So I've had this idea of been proposed to me of just like getting a driver head and just cranking it as flat as possible.
Yeah.
And just swinging hard. Because in theory, the idea there, I'd have to really aggressively mess my swing up to miss left with that type of a setup. It's just flat.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have that opportunity with Ping and their hosel to go, you know, use the flat settings.
Yes.
So that is an option. Is that going to draw back a little bit? I think
Still,
I'm noticing too, though, it's drawing back a little bit better with this
much
versus
more
the LST.
consistent than the LS Tech. Yeah. Much more consistent. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yep. G440 Max.
Yeah, that was better.
It's pretty darn tasty. I'd hit this the rest of the stream if we wanted to. I mean, just. Of course, I probably just jinxed myself. Yeah, the speed's picking up.
No, he decided to go after one.
Yep.
Woo! That's good. Well, and I grabbed one of the other shafts that's available. This is the Ping Tour.
Yes.
Is it the Tour Black 2.0?
The Tour Black 2.0 65X.
65X. That's one of the stiffest and strongest shafts that they've had in their lineup for a very long time. I also grabbed another one that they have this year, which is the Denali Red. and it's a Project X shaft. And so why don't we try that?
That's a very different build.
It is. It's a counterbalance, and one of the reasons I grabbed it was just because it was something a little different than what was in there. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Try something like that.
And someone just asked, we have it at 9 degrees in standard setting and everything right now. So, yeah, that's what we built here for G440 Max. Now we're going to try a completely different shaft. So these are the part of the stock options too. So the Project X Denali Red.
Yeah.
So, and then we have another question as you set that up too from Joe.
Okay.
Asking about to rank forgiveness of a few different irons here. It says Mizuno Pro 245, JPX 925 forged, Titleist T150, and TaylorMade P770. Rank them in forgiveness, which is kind of maybe a loaded question, but.
Nah, very, very similar. I would say that the more ball speed, the thinner the face, the more ball speed you're probably going to get on them.
Right.
And right now, the T150 would have the most solid backing.
I would say so.
Yeah.
It was me, just based on what I know about how the clubs are built, and then in the little testing I've done with each iron.
Yeah.
I'd go probably the Mizuno Pro 245, the most forgiving. P770 after that. Then maybe the JPX 925 forged, and then T150.
Yeah, something like that.
The T150 is built basically the same as the T100, just a little bit larger.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you're going to see T150. You're going to
holy
see
smokes, what a painting that is.
Yeah, you're going to see the T150 in the bag of for long irons for a lot of people.
Yes.
Right.
Well, like on tour. Yeah.
On tour. So if you think about it kind of from a tour perspective, so you go to tour perspective, all those clubs could be long irons in someone's bag.
Yes. Yes.
Generally speaking, they are. Yeah. The T150 is probably the most common one of that. Maybe the 245, not necessarily a forged, or the P770.
Yeah.
Not going to see a lot of those in the TaylorMade guys, but.
So yeah, Joe was the, what's that?
How do you spell Denali anyway?
Denali. And Joe was who asked about those Strixon irons too, and kind of having the shallow attack angle. So.
Denali?
Yeah, red.
A-L-I. There we go.
Is that a bit of a challenge there for you on that?
Yeah, I just hadn't. I don't think I've had to type that in a while.
That is quite a screen of dots there.
Yeah, I mean the Max version up there, which we stayed with. We stayed with the G440 Max head.
Yep.
That Max head was obviously the best performing, without question.
So this is Denali red. I didn't even know there was a 6.5 in this shaft. It's an often. Excuse me.
And this would, okay, quote unquote, this would maybe launch a little higher. This would be a higher launching and maybe spinning profile. But for that, right, we still have to get it in your hands and see what it does.
Yeah. That's where I know that's what you always clarify with shaft differences in testing is like the profile and it's different in the butt section or whatever it might be, right? And so it's supposed to do this, supposed to be higher launching, higher spinning, or lower, whatever. But it can totally be different based on someone's swing and swing tempo.
Yes.
It might not. Those are generalities. It's not going to react the same way for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Tempo and attack angles can really change everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The confidence has arrived in my driver swing. Took a little bit, but it's there. This might be a fun combo.
What was your first impression of this shaft?
It doesn't feel whippy by any means. Trying to think. I feel like I have a little less of an idea, not idea, but like I can feel things a little looser on my transition, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. But like if you had given me this 20 minutes ago when I had to know what was happening with my swing, I would be probably very lost. But the fact that I hit a few good ones before this, I'm still able to swing it confidently. Just a little bit much on that one. Yeah. Oh, I haven't heard anything about a I-240 or I-250. I don't know if that's, no idea. And that's the thing with Ping, by the way, is the I-210s were in line or in for their player's cavity for what, 5 years? Yeah. Long time. So we might have the I-230s for a long time in that regard. And they're a good iron to try if that's something you're looking at. I mean,
the G440 iron is out next. So we already have the irons out.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, we know that that's the next iron. Outside of that, there's nothing on, like.
Yeah,
I can't even hint because I literally know there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
You know, they might have stuff for next session already in the works.
Yeah.
But there's
no way. That's where Ping is unique because they do their woods. They have anyway. They've done them every 2 years.
Yeah.
And so usually in that sort of quote unquote off year, you'll see some irons or something where they'll add something to their lineup But
we saw some consistency in the iron revolution for quite a while amongst some companies, and now we started to see some companies have taken a break with it, and they've started to kind of deviate that a little bit. So they've gone maybe 3 years in between, or even 4 years in between. It wouldn't surprise me if they really. Ping did a great job with the current blueprint, the S, the T, the original blueprint, the I-230. It's a great lineup. They blend well together. That's just kind of hitting the ground running here. It's had a full year. I don't see that changing anything. I don't know that they're going to change anything into that and start disrupting that iron flow until they get a chance to do something with everything in a few years.
All right, I'm going to get one more good swing, and then I know we've only got like 10 minutes here. So we can start wrapping up. We got some good questions to get to here too. Yeah. So try to wrap up here.
There was one that was interesting a little bit ago about Acra shafts. We have Acra shafts. They are a True Temper product. So you think of True Temper, Dynamic Gold, Project X, Acra, Graphalloy. They're all the same company. They're individually. They're kind of like they're a shaft that is engineered separately from kind of the lot.
Yeah.
But they're still using high end materials, and for that, and there's so many different shafts in the market, and you get into like the real high end shafts, and you start talking about, well, what about this shaft versus this shaft? Shaft comparison is really getting into an apple versus an apple. Get the same tip on it. Get the same head on it.
Yep.
See what it does. See how it flies. See how it feels. See what the weight is.
Yeah.
That's really the big thing is if you're going to start messing around with shafts, you try to be constant with it. Don't change up a bunch of the variables. Say, well, my Callaway shaft was this, and then I went over to TaylorMade in this, and then I got a Ping in this one. They're all different companies, and so they have different feels and different sizes, different shapes, different weights.
weightings.
Yeah. So I would look at it in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. We can bring up some of the numbers. I know you wanted to look at the numbers on these two shafts. We did the Denali Red, hit a few shots, and then we had the Tour Black, Ping Tour Black 2.0. So you can, and while you bring those up, I can see a couple of questions on here. Said Not Peak said might have missed it already. How do the 440 woods compare to 430? We haven't done a head-to-head test on those yet. We talked a little bit about the characteristics. The G440 faces are a little taller, which is going to change performance a little bit. You said the 7 wood at 260 hard to pass right now. Hey, the G430 7 wood is going to be a really good one for you. So
yeah,
I would recommend if you're in a spot that you feel comfortable with it, you test it, you like it,
Right.
it's going to be good for your game, I would go ahead and run with it. Ben Hitting Green says, here's a good question. Will the existing Ping adapters fit the new G440 line?
Well,
I've got a plethora of shafts with the 2.0 hosel adapters, and
find
I'm
out.
pretty sure they do. Yeah,
We'll find out.
pretty sure they do. Steven, thank you for watching the stuff with James. James is awesome. By the way, just I don't know if you saw the stuff we did last year at Ping. You got to see his outfit from those, because his outfit was pretty spectacular. If he didn't, he was a little more muted this year, but last year he wore pink shirt and pink pants. So you got to check that out. Joe says, or excuse me, Salty Dog Performance. Love my I-230. Got fitted from him a couple weeks ago. 135 ball speed on the 6-iron. That's pretty spicy. So yeah, there's some distance packed into those I-230s for sure. The Titleist irons, now we don't know anything yet. I mean, I haven't heard anything about T-Series. The last release for them, though, they typically do like July to August, in that range is when they typically have been releasing their stuff.
Right.
So that's what I would anticipate, but I haven't heard anything from them on that. Southpaw Johnny says, what's the ideal driver height and flight for carry and distance? Is there a mathematical equation that involves swing speed?
For what?
For the ideal height and carry distance for driver.
Most of it is attack angle. So if you think about it in terms of attack angle, if I'm swinging up,
Yes.
then I might have a higher flight.
Yes.
So
because
then-
the loft you're showing at impact is higher if you're hitting
Yeah.
up on it, right?
So my launch and my spin may need to be different if I'm swinging up versus if I'm swinging down.
Yes.
Or even versus neutral. So that's one of the things, if you look at real quick on the optimizer, if I just take any one of these as an example and go like this one, that launch angle is a little higher here,
Yes.
right? The attack angle is 3.7.
Yep.
If I go to, let's go to 5.1, right? That launch is still up here.
Yeah.
In that, but if all of a sudden I go to and again I go to 3.7, right? Now all of a sudden that might have been caught in a different spot.
Yeah, it was.
Or
Yeah.
I go to 2.1. So where
You're trying to find one that fits.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's kind of the whole point, is so where when we start getting into it, especially when we start talking about launch angle, the right type of height is not necessarily a peak height in feet necessarily. It's more about, does it climb high enough with the right type of spin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And if you're down into the ball, you need more loft to create more height, to create more spin, generally speaking.
yeah, so
so-
it's to answer the question, it's kind of a, there's not a magic formula. The formula would have to include how you deliver the club, your attack angle. Those things all matter as well. It's not just about swing speed. It also includes what you're showing at impact. If
Yeah.
you're down on it, if you're hitting up on it, those things matter too. So but ultimately, I think getting a landing angle in that 40-degree range with
Yes.
driver is probably right where you want to be, and there's a lot of different ways to get
About,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to get there.
Go back to the tip. So older models of Ping will work in the G440. What I'm not sure of yet is if the G440 shafts will work backwards.
Oh, the G440 tips will work back into
Yes.
the G430.
So if it
Yep.
was working in your G430, it'll work in the 440. I
Yes.
don't know that this new tip with this design will work backwards.
Got it.
So that will be the one thing to
Okay.
keep our eye on.
Okay. Do we have any findings with the drivers here? We can kind of start to wrap then too. If you have any last couple questions here, I'll make sure that we do a comparison of G440 7-wood versus G430 7-wood. Stay tuned to the channel. We'll make sure we get that one filmed.
Yeah, that's a great
The
one.
7-woods are popular and are becoming more popular. So we'll make sure we do that one to give you that info. So I like that blue dispersion quite a bit.
Yeah, the blue dispersion was a little bit better to that all the way around.
To clarify, that was the Tour Black,
Yes.
the Ping Tour Black 2.0 shaft.
Yep.
And then we did the Denali Red, which is what I have here, just for this at the end here. But yeah, it started to feel a little bit like it was a little loosey-goosey at the transition with the Denali Red. It kind of started
Yeah.
to feel like that a little bit.
Where you know, and the first 2 swings with that Denali Red were right on the button too. So
Yes, they were.
not a problem there. But you know, for someone who's already in a G430 10K,
Yes.
max 10K, you're in this new G440 max performance similar. Very similar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think so. Yeah, I think I would actually even say, looking down at it as I look again, I think the profile is a little bit smaller and compact. Like I think the 10K is a little bit more kind of mass deeper and farther back behind the club. But I like the sound a lot. It's a, you know, it looks a lot similar in terms of what you see at address. And then one thing we didn't test too is there is the adjustable weight. This is a 29 gram weight.
Yeah.
So you could move this towards the draw or towards the fade setting, and we could get kind of funky with, you know, in terms of testing. And I know that's the thing in fittings that you're going to be playing with too. So, yeah, this is good. You know, we're at that kind of point of an hour here. Let's do. I'll respond to this one comment here. Can you guys do a low spin model showdown? I like this. QI35 LS, Elite Triple Diamond, G440 LST, Titleist GT4 with Drew and Emma hitting. This will give data for high and slow swing speed players on the LS model. We can get that one scheduled.
Yeah.
I will make sure to do that one for sure. That's good. That's a good idea.
That's a great recommendation too, and keep things like that coming because that's the whole point.
If it's not in the chat for this particular live, then do it in the comment section, and we will add it to our list. We've got all kinds of stuff planned here. But yes, we'll start to wrap here. So Tyler, thank you for joining. We apologize to those that maybe joined and we had a little tech glitch. We apologize we appreciate your patience for that. We will not be here live next week because we'll be at the PGA show. But the following week after that, we will do some more testing. Maybe we'll do this low spin driver showdown that is being asked of us in 2 weeks. So maybe we'll do it then. We'll just do it live.
That'd be cool,
as they say. So, guys, thank you for joining. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And Tyler, thank you. I'll let you sign off here.
Keep your grooves clean and stay razor sharp.
There it is.